28-17 win over your in-state rival Bryant last week. Just what did you like most about the way your team performed?
It's kind of same statement every week. I like the way that we have finished games. I like the way that we, stay in it and don't panic when things aren't going exactly our way. It was an interesting football game. I think, it was a good, solid football game that was really well competed in the first half. I think we came out, we hit a big strike, and then immediately fumble the football. They take it and punch it in on us. It goes back and forth. I think both teams were operating, pretty well on both sides. And then we were fortunate enough to try to, to get, 10 points at the end of the first half, in a minute and 55 seconds, which was, very comforting for us. And then second half, I think our defense went out and obviously pitched a shutout, and we found and scored a touchdown. And we found ways to continue to wrangle the chains and do the things we needed to do. We still have the same problem. We've had a number of different penalties again. We, threw an interception in the goal line that kept points off the board. So great team victory. Really happy about it. It was a monumental, historic moment for us. With the longest home winning streak in the history of Rhode Island football, and then the longest field goal that's ever been kicked in by a URI person, which was kind of cool. But number seven and guarantees us a winning season, which is a goal that we all have as you start the season.
Question for you this morning from Steve. Morning, Steve.
Morning, Rob. Morning, Coach.
Steve.
Coach, if you could expand on that, Garth White with the 54-yarder, longest URI, and also sixth longest in CAA history, 57 being the top one. Each week, it seems he's expanding a little further out. You mentioned on the coach's show he had a 52-yarder at practice, now a 54-yarder in the game. Just talk about his development.
I mean, his development is, was started well before we got him. Obviously, he's been, kicking, and we were in need of a kicker. We felt and found Garth kind of late in the whole process. We had two guys we had signed earlier on, and there were problems with getting into school and a lot of different things, some international things. But we ended up picking up Garth, and what I ask Coach Sanabru, who handles our specialists, to do each week is just to ask them, where are we? What number line do we need to get? And he told me before with the win, the 37-yard line. He told me against the 27, and we got to the 37-yard line and let it rip. So his development's been really good. We do test him out for range. We don't kick him a lot during the week, but he'll hit the short ones, the intermediates, and then we'll give him a bomb or two, just to see what we can stretch it to. And obviously he hit that one real clean, and probably would have been good from 56, maybe even 57. Maybe we'll keep on stretching it, but we still like touchdowns, man.
Coach Antoine Littleton not available. Gabe Winovich had the door open for him, and he really came through for you.
Yeah, big time. It's so comforting when you have good players that are stacking good players, and Winnow, had a couple of tastes of it as he's gone, through the season. Albany had that big catch run. We've known he's been very capable, but need arose, and he stepped up in a big time way. He hit a couple of creases and ran extremely hard. So I was really pleased for him and pleased for us. And he's a good player. And you got Barrow, and you got the young kid too that's still waiting and ready to go. And as we get to the end of the season, when we can still save a red shirt, we might be able to see more of him as well.
If I could sneak one more in, Rob, Coach, converted offensive lineman to defensive lineman. Dante Bishop came up with his first sack. Had to make you feel pretty good.
That was really cool. That's a monstrous human being, getting through. Now I know you got Coach Merritt on here next. I mean, he was unblocked in the play, so certainly expected him to make that play. But it was cool to see. He's worked extremely hard to learn a new position, to be able to take new coaching, and has given us some valuable reps. We lost a couple of D linemen early with Kareem and Sinai Swain Price, which we're hoping to get back here shortly. But he filled in a big need for us and has given us quality snaps and helped us out through the season. So anytime you get to take a bite of the quarterback, I'm sure it was a very good moment for him.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks, Rob.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Jim, you talked about the shutout in the second half. You were able to force three turnovers, including the big pick six, to kind of seal it for my end day. But what was the biggest thing that changed there over the final 30 minutes?
Well, I just think that, we just continued to do what we do and just did it a little bit better. You're always looking for those magic answers. I do think that, our defensive staff identifies what's hurting us and then makes the adjustments necessary, whether it's a tweak of what we do schematically or just playing the defenses that we're calling a little bit better. But I think that they were controlled. I think, we got up a couple of scores, which changes things a little bit. And I just, they played extremely hard and they've got great pride and it was very cool to see the pick six at the end of it. That's a couple weeks in a row now. And we like to see those things continue to go. They're very helpful and takes a big sigh of relief at the end of a game like that.
I was gonna say it's Brian controlled the ball for 39 minutes in the game. That's usually not a winning formula for the team that has it for 21. But it was sort of a unique game. Just kind of give me your take on that number and how you were able to still pull away and win.
Yeah. I think it's smart. If I was going against us, I would try to do the same thing. To try to be able to extend drives, which I thought they were able to do on their offensive side of the ball, to be able to eat clock. No, we scored fast as well. Which had something to do with it as well.
Mhm.
We ended up, going ahead with a couple of quick scores. I think it was, we scored and then we kicked off and we got a fumble on the kickoff and then we scored again real quick. So, I mean, that was, 14 points that was, happened in a very short period of time. Like I said, we had, 10 points in a minute and 55 at the end of the second quarter. So there's some big plays, there's some explosive ability there that lends to it. But to see that we had that much yardage with that few of plays was pretty impressive. Now, I'd certainly like to be able to get some more plays on the board, but I don't, sometimes the games just go that way.
Yeah, the big play. I was going to ask you, Devin's 14 of 22, but for 272 yards, that's pretty good. I'm not great at math, but that's pretty good completion percentage. Just the big plays to Marquise and then also the touchdown to Greg Gaines. Just talk about the day Devin was able to have hitting some of those big plays.
I mean, it was identified, by our offensive staff, feeling that, we did need to take advantage of, some deep ball opportunities. That had been something that had been indicated, been a problem for Bryant going into the game was explosive plays. And so we came right out of the gates and went up top and got a big play to Marquise. But unfortunately, as he was straining for extra yardage, trying to get it even more, he ended up fumbling the football. We had another big explosion to Marquise wide open down the middle of the field, ran it down to the 2 yard line, and we couldn't convert it through an interception in there. The big play capability is, like I said, like multiple weeks. I mean, it's a factor of protecting the quarterback well enough to give him some time, although he'll stand in there and take a hit when necessary. But delivering it to guys that are, in well schemed plays to be able to get them open. It takes a village to put it all together, but certainly have the quarterback, the receivers, and the O-line to be able to make it happen. So just, we'd love to keep those things coming because they have been a big component of our offenses, as I can tell in a game like that, which you said, 42 plays and we still have 420 yards. We're okay. We just got to continue to keep consistent and keep and not turn the ball over.
Well, 5-0 in the conference, and you guys rolling pretty well. But the bye week upcoming for you, how much do you need that this week?
It's been long anticipated. It's been a grind. These guys have been playing football since July 31st, so we took, yesterday they came in for med check. They had nothing else. Today we had a little team presentation, but no football. We'll give them off tomorrow. Probably get back and throw the ball around a little bit. Pretty light practice on Wednesday, then get a couple of good goes on Thursday and Friday and give them the weekend off, and then just get back and go one at a time for the next three that we have available, starting with Elon.
Question for you from Steve.
Thanks, Rob. Coach Andre DePina Gray led you in tackles with 9 in that game. He seemed to be everywhere out there. Gave you a good one.
Yeah, I was just noticing that same thing. I glanced through the tape on Sunday, but I was sitting in the recliner. But now I'm studying it. He's tackling extremely well. He's got a good nose for the ball, and I think that he's a very calming influence on our defense. He can play it all. He can play deep. He can play short. He can play up at the second level, and he's a very, very solid tackle. His fundamentals are very good.
And Kevin Schaefer, 2 catches this year, both for touchdowns, right? So pretty good
That was a
efficiency there.
beauty. That was a beauty too, and I didn't know until I was reading the stats after the guy. I thought it was Matt Smith, but Shafe, went out there, ended and nice hand catch. He's worked very hard, that kid. We've had him a couple years, and he's worked very hard to be able to improve his skill set and his performance. And I was really glad to see him get rewarded with that touchdown. That was a real pretty one.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks, Rob.
All right, Jim. Thanks so much for the time today. Enjoy